Welcome back, everyone. We are here to discuss Doctor Who, Season 12, Episode 8, The Haunting of Villa Diodati. I don't even know.
Dia, whatever.
Dia, whatever. It really didn't matter. The name of the manor didn't really come up that much that I remember, and not much happened. I think this remains the best example because I'm hearing people like this. I knew people would like this episode. I even mentioned it to you guys in the chat.
Yep.
And I think we've just come to a place where people want something to exist so badly they're willing to swallow anything, especially god-awful episodes like this. And this show is not an improvement, will not be an improvement. And apparently Chris Chibnall is indeed the Rianne Johnson and Jar Jar Abrams and Alex Kurtzman of the UK. And we will go into that thanks to the third female doctor, played by Starry Eyed Girl, had a good catch. But first, I would like to introduce my co-hosts. We will start out, ladies first, with the third female doctor, played by Starry Eyed Girl. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Of course, thank you. It was my birthday yesterday, so I've had a really good time. It's kind of glad that Doctor Who wasn't on a Saturday for a change.
Yeah.
Just so I was spared this.
Well, happy 21st birthday. You're now old enough to drink in the United
you.
States, and welcome to adulthood. It's all downhill from here. And for our Canadian representation, we have the wonderful, the talented, the lovely Bowles Trek.
Good afternoon, I had to throw that in there. And happy belated birthday to Starry at 21. I remember being 21
Thank
back
you.
just century, and it was a much better century, I must say. So yeah, how we all doing today? Did we have fun with the haunting of Villa? I don't give a shit. Sorry, Gary.
Diodati. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. It was boring. You mentioned that both of us wanted to pause it within the first 10 minutes. It was typical people sitting around talking at tables. We had Lord Byron, we had Mary Shelley. First, let's not bury the lead. Starry, the third female doctor, played by Starry Eyed Girl. What did you discover that I had completely forgotten about, by the way?
Yeah, so did I.
Well, back in, was it 2011, there was a Big Finish story, a Paul McGann story, featuring Mary Shelley as the companion and a Cyberman. And while it's not the same story, there are similarities, and even on the front cover, the Cyberman looks very, very similar. And it's just more proof that, we just can't have any originality in modern Doctor Who. We just can't.
And then there's the other point where you were just talking. We have a special guest.
We do. He's an up-and-coming YouTuber. You might not have heard of him. But he's very talented.
We need to get him to his first 1,000 subs today, folks. So hashtag 1,000 subs.
I'm trying really hard. So yeah, I'm not really that special, I guess. But it's nice to be here anyway. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for joining us. It's a critical
Good to see you, Drinker.
That is brilliant.
Thank you.
So continue, please. Starry.
Oh, yes. So, so if we think back to, there's always been the question as to whether or not Big Finish is canon, and with every other Doctor except for Paul McGann, that question is still open. But if everybody remembers back to a little episode or vignette called Night of the Doctor, where the Eighth Doctor actually mentions his companions, that essentially has canonized the Eighth Doctor Big Finish releases. So there might be some, shall we say, inconsistency here. What do we think?
Yeah.
What's inconsistency with modern Doctor Who? Who would have thought it?
What? Yeah. Either the Doctor didn't remember, Mary Shelley didn't bring it up, but she did remember how gorgeous Lord Byron's daughter's brain was. Quickly, I'm just going to go over the plot of this episode. It was the family randomly showed up in the 1800s. I can't even remember why they were at the house, and I don't really care. And they
I
ran
don't think
around.
we even got an explanation for
No.
it. They just
No,
showed up. It
They
was
showed
weird.
up at the door, and yeah, that's it.
Oh, they
No,
wanted to.
this came after. This came directly after. Can you hear me? Because the doctor said she cheered Graham up by saying she was going to take him to see Frankenstein.
Yeah, so they were
Yeah.
going to watch them write, and Lord Byron
Yeah.
was there, and they were playing frickin' Twister or whatever, and they were disappointed. And then after mentioning that we can't mention Frankenstein, then the doctor brings up we want to have a ghost story, and then all of a sudden there's a ghost in the house, and there's a baby, and there's the house is folding in on itself, and there's a bunch of running around and jump scares, and Graham can't pee, and Lord Byron is an idiot and a coward because he's a white male. We'll get into that later. Then we find out that all of this is happening because something's trying to press its way through time, and it's the lone Cyberman. The lone Cyberman that has some emotions, because I always like Cybermen with emotions, because that's the unique thing about him, right? Oh, actually, it isn't. And they're looking for something, and we find out that Mary Shelley's Mr. Shelley, her boyfriend or future husband, whatever, had found the Cyberium, which is gelatinous silver snot that was in a lake, which makes you think of the Lady in the Lake. He reaches, grabs it, he becomes a Cyberium, but he tries to protect it from the lone Cyberman. And they bring up Jack's warning. This is after running around. There was some jump scare. Oh, by the way, there's a mother and a daughter maid ghost that ends up being nothing at the end. And eventually the Cyberman and the doctor monologue back and forth. Apparently the Cyberman's left arm doesn't work because he just keeps trying to hit the doctor with his right arm, and she ducks, which is what she runs like as well. And then eventually she makes the decision to give the Cyberium to the Cyberman, even though that Shelley was trying to protect it because it was going to kill him. And Ryan points out the obvious, hey, it's just one bloke against billions. And then she said, this one person and words matter and can change everything and you won't exist. And then she whines a little bit. And then we finally got a proper Jodie Whittaker 13th Doctor speech, which was whining and it was a little judgmental. It was perfect for her, actually, a little sneery. And then the lone Cyberman gets what he wants. He takes off. And now the doctor has to go fix the mess in the future. The end. And it was just a bunch of running around and sitting. And like I said before, it is CW Doctor Who. I blame the CW for all this, by the way, because it's really brought critical thinking down to the lowest common denominator. And now people just want to accept this thing because they want this thing to exist, and they want it to exist so badly they'll accept anything. Sorry, guys, but you guys can now have your thoughts on the show.
Well,
Dude, I think you covered it pretty well there, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you missed the part where the ghost lady brought Graham a sandwich. Yeah.
Oh yes, because
Oh yeah.
the olden days that could have been deliberate. No way that was deliberate.
No, there was a lot of the most deliberate thing in here was taking Lord Byron, and you could have made him a coward and kind of a pompous ass, but they like really made a point to make him a coward. He hid behind a woman, and the doctor chastised him a little bit and says, well, I'm not too big on you, but I'm in love with your daughter's gorgeous brain. So, and of course Lord Byron was hitting on the doctor, and we had Mrs. Doctor. That was throughout the entire episode, because they just want to remind us that the doctor is female, even though they don't write her as female at all.
Do they not imply that he steals a lot of her ideas as well for his own poetry?
Yes.
Like, he doesn't actually have any individual creativity. It's like one of the greatest literary minds of humanity, and it's like, nah, I just got it off someone else. Like, couldn't allow him to have anything by himself.
No, and the other thing was the dance scene in the beginning. That was, I think, all of our favorite scenes, right?
It was like freaking party time in that house, man. I didn't want it to end.
Well, yeah, and like you were saying, Gary, she dances like she runs. It was, I think, and there's a lot of contenders for this, but I think that may have been the most cringeworthy scene this entire season. And of course, as we were saying, it had to end with Graham having to pee.
He's old.
Yes.
You know.
He's obviously old and white and dumb.
I liked how even when she's dancing, she still makes Arnold Rimmer faces. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like just once in your life, can you act with a little bit of dignity? Nah.
No, this is going to be. It's always fun to pick out the Jodie facial expression for the thumbnail. I kind of reused one, but it's because I haven't seen the episode yet. So I'm gonna. There's a. I think her sneering while she's giving that. I have to make the choice. You know, this isn't a level playing field. I'm on the mountain making my only choice. It's like, God, it was the first time like I really wanted the doctor to shut up. And it was horrible. And she just can't. They tried. They gave it I'll give it. They gave it an effort to try to make Jodie intimidating and godlike, and it just failed miserably.
But what a way to phrase it as well. It's like, you know, you guys are down there at the bottom of the mountain, and I'm up in the stratosphere because I am so far above everything. You know, I'm so superior to you. You know, she could have phrased that a different way to make her a bit more sympathetic and say, you know, one of us has to make this difficult choice and it falls to me because I'm the leader and it's what I always have to do and it sucks, but that's my job. But no, it's just like, no, I'm just better than you.
You know, we had this with Capaldi when he said, you know, sometimes all you have are bad choices, but you still have to choose. We've had it with the Eccleston Doctor with it's the different morality. This is what they were trying to aim for, but because the writer, you know, is a soap writer, she just can't do it.
Well, also Eccleston and Tennant and Capaldi looked like they were on the brink of tears, and were on the brink of tears. When they gave those speeches, and you could see the water welling up in their eyes because they are true actors. And Jodie just looked annoyed and judgmental, and it comes. But you're right, the writing. You know, we have Maxine Alderton was the writer of this episode, and she is known for a show I have never seen called Emmerdale. So,
shit, man!
Yeah, 160.
Me and Starry Eyed Girl know that one. Trust me. Like, put it this way, it's not exactly top flight drama. If you're an American and you watched it, you'd be blown away, man.
All right. She's also written The Worst Witch. So, and I have not heard of that either. So, but I imagine it's probably no better than CW, which I've watched a lot of, unfortunately, because, I mean, aside from the superhero stuff, Vampire Diaries, I watched, the first 5 seasons all the way through because of Mrs. Nerdrotic, and I still have brain cells. I actually think that did more damage to my brain than all the acid I took in the 80s, but so it was it was just a lead up. It was supposed to be kind of Chibnall's turn left, you know. We're leading up to the big end, right? That's going to be all of next season, and then we have this lone Cyberman, and now he could rebuild the cyber army, and they're going to go in the future, and the Master's probably going to be there connected to it. And I just for the Cybermen coming back, especially, we just did this not too long ago with Capaldi's first season, and that lead up, although the follow up wasn't great, the lead up was great with Missy and everything. That was awesome. This, not so much. I just, you know, the show is old now. That it just feels like an old show that's in season 12 or season 12. I lose count. What's the technical season count on this, Bulls Trek? Is it like 20?
This would be,
if you counted the classic series,
38.
30. Jesus 38. Christ. Yeah, it feels like season 38 or 42 or 56. That's what it feels like right now. I mean,
how many times can you keep bringing back these old enemies before it just becomes ridiculous and tiresome?
And at this point, they need to bring them back and, you know, maybe provide some answers or do something radically new with them. But you bring back the Cyberman, and he's like a hodgepodge, really. And, you know, even when Jack came back, the way Captain Jack delivered it for a second, it felt like Doctor Who. It's like, oh my God, him delivering a line talking about the Cybermen. I mean, I know this is an oasis that I'm going to go back to Jodie, but it felt like Doctor Who for a minute, and it just makes it that much worse, to be honest with you. But I know the people at Gallifrey, Gallifrey 1 is going on this weekend. I was supposed to go. I didn't because I had to do my taxes. So life goes on. I'm sure they're celebrating it down there. The 5 or 10 people who are left for this show, the ratings are sinking like a freaking stone. Anything that hits 0 for an entire day on Rotten Tomatoes is pathetically bad. And I don't know what to say anymore. It's like, we got that article, by the way, Starry. Did you read that? Did anybody read that?
I did
from
read
the BBC,
it, yes.
the fan entitlement?
I have it up in a tab. I have not read it yet, but it's going to be my hilarity for later on today.
It will be. There is, listen, I'm not going to go over it here, but it's a big recap of fandom over the years. They go back to freaking Sherlock Holmes. They talk about the origin of fan fiction and the freaking homoerotic fan fiction from Star Trek, this has been brought up so much in the last few articles. But then they finally get the Doctor Who, like at the very, and they talk about the alt-right Doctor Who fans, because there's so many alt-right Doctor Who fans.
And we're all racist, and we're all misogynist,
So
and entitled.
They call us entitled, and they confuse investment with entitlement. When you take on a known property and you want that built-in fan base, you do owe them something. You do. You don't, not everything, but you owe them something. And what they failed to mention at every one of these articles and every one of these criticisms, because they love to bring up inclusivity and diversity, which nobody has a problem with, but they never bring up, but they did take a male character and change it into a female. I mean, that you might want to understand why some fans might be pissed off about that. If they took Spider-Man and made her in Spider-Woman, some people would get pissed about that. If you go and muck around in the past, people will get pissed about that. When you have to take Lord Byron, and it's jarring, they take you out of a scene to make sure he looks like an idiot, and just him, not anybody else. That is what we're talking about. It's nothing else. It's nothing else.
Well, I think at this point it's kind of expected almost. You watch Doctor Who and you're like, you're just waiting for that moment when they do something and you know it's coming, and it came pretty quickly tonight as it happens.
It did. I love the time of this article as well. Within a week of the BBC getting all these complaints, and they are still getting complaints from last week. They're also getting complaints about the statement that they released, which apparently was not meant to be released publicly.
It wasn't.
It was, no, it wasn't. No, it was.
That was for individual email responses, wasn't it?
It was indeed. So the Radio Times are in hot water at the moment, which I find hilarious.
And it was a form letter, it was a copy and paste job. Oh yeah, and in terms of the ratings, the final consolidated for Praxius came in. So that one we're now down to 5.22 ratings.
Wow.
And Can You Hear Me was lower. So Can You Hear Me might be the first episode for final consolidated to drop below 5 million, which I believe would make it the third lowest rated episode of all time.
Oh my God. That's terrible. Wow. Look at that. Holy shit. So, I don't know what they're going to do. It next year is not going to be better. They can put it, Sunday's not even helping it now at this point. And I'm guessing that the next season will come out around Christmas, because more people watch TV right around that time, around fall. Here in the States, that's like peak advertising here on YouTube and here on regular broadcast television. And just more people are sitting around. So I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it to that. And it's shortened episodes.
I mean, I'm not expecting the ratings to be any good. I mean, there was zero publicity for this episode.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
They keep talking about
which
the last
I don't understand, because this was an improvement on last week. I mean, that's not saying much, but they've gone straight for the finale. So they've obviously got no faith in it.
Well, no, and the rumors have been going around that people are not. Well, the BBC The few that are level-headed are not happy, to put it mildly, with where this is going. And I think that the current rumor now is Series 13 will air in the fall of 2021. I think that just came out this week.
So at least it'll be next year, and that probably explains why they did the Christmas special early, and they're going to come in. So my guess, this could be I'm just pulling this out of my ass, that we get an announcement of a new Doctor next year. Then I mean, we'd have to, because if it's going to be Jodie's last, August, maybe summer of next year, or they cancel it. Could be one of the two.
I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'll tell you one thing: the next Doctor will not be a white male.
Oh God!
No.
I think it'll probably be a male. I think it'll probably be a guy, but I bet he's a minority of some sort. So that they can get the balance.
Did anybody notice that Save the BBC was trending this morning on Twitter?
I had something to say about that on Twitter earlier.
Yes, it is not looking good for the BBC.
I guess not.
I honestly think the writing's on the wall for the BBC license fee. I think Boris Johnson's made a lot of noises about wanting to reevaluate it, and there's a growing appetite for people who just are done with it. Because ultimately, like, for people who are kind of hard up, like, that money could be much better used. Like, it's not a huge amount each year, but it does add up. And, you've got the fact that you've got to pay this just to watch a TV program that you don't even watch most of the time. Kind of sucks. Like, it's really outdated.
It does.
Yeah, I think the best model, and it would be quite humorous to see how this ends up, but if it became a subscription-based service, something tells me that a few people may be getting terminated from the BBC.
Yeah, they'll stick adverts in, like every other terrestrial channel here in the UK. It'll just become like ITV or whatever. I can't see the BBC ever going full subscription service. It would be too big of a switch up for them. But either way, if they do have to like become competitive, so many heads are going to roll.
Well, look at in the US, Doctor Who is now getting it's dropped to 400,000
under 400,000 per episode. That's overnight. So I mean, it's under 1 million. It's regularly under 1 million, which is pathetically sad because it was getting much better than that. And like I said before, it was on top of the world. 6-7 years ago. 8 years ago, it was on top of the world. It was the highest thing on the geek food chain for a couple of years, which is saying something. During Star Wars and Marvel and all that, Doctor Who was owning Comic-Con. And what did they do? They fucked it up immediately because they just did. You know what? I don't want them listening to America. I saw the whole article about Joe Hill, and we talked about it last week. And by the way, I watched Lock and Key, and it wasn't bad. It's not terrible. By the way, I watched the first 3 episodes, and I didn't hate it. So, he probably would have been a lot better in Chibnall, but I don't think an American should be running the show. Maybe writing an episode or two, but 405,000. I mean, Critical Drinker gets more on that on a video in the first day, in the first 24 hours, where he gives us his 5 best standoffs, which was awesome, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so over time, it gets about 800,000 views. The audience has gone down 23%. And this is on top of the 60% it went down on the previous season here in the States. So they've lost everything. Everything they gained with Capaldi is now gone. And in 2 short seasons, all those gains, bye-bye. So, Defenders at this point, you got nothing. Other than, you like the words Doctor Who next to each other in a blue box. You don't care what's in the show.
No, it's half of it is what we will call those 2 buzzwords, the virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And the other half is we'll call them diehards, but ultra diehards, where you want so badly for the show to still exist. This isn't Doctor Who. This hasn't been Doctor Who since 2 years. Since December 2017. And I guess I can understand that to a certain extent, because I'm a diehard Doctor Who. I have been my whole life. I know half the original series from memory. But even, I desperately want the show to still be around. There's no way that I can accept that this is Doctor Who. Your real Doctor Who is Big Finish, and thank God we still have Big Finish. But this isn't the show. It's desperation, and I think, and we're also talking about just the way it was written. And Drinker, you may have written a book or two in your life. And I think, Gary, you actually noted this as well while we were chatting throughout the episode. But did you notice the over-descriptive dialogue where they are describing everything that they see? It's laziness. And the way they write the 13th Doctor, where you can tell they're not comfortable with it. They don't think that she can carry a scene without dialogue. So it's just diarrhea of the mouth throughout the entire episode. He knows as soon as they come in, and she's still wearing her stupid coat, the rest of them are in timepiece costume.
Yeah, I was going to say
comes in, just motor mouth.
Yeah, it really is like when you don't have any real screen presence and you don't have that much acting ability, you can't rely on that. Then you have to just have dialogue going constantly to try and distract the audience, and that's kind of what it feels like. And particularly in an episode like this, where it's actually quite slow paced initially, there's not a huge amount going on. It's just people creeping from room to room. Again, they don't have much going on, so they have to just dump in all this dialogue to try and fill the gaps. And so what you end up is something that kind of kills any tension or interest that you might have created, because people just won't shut up as it's going on.
Yeah. Oh God, there's a scene I posted it in the chat. So the house, it's an interesting concept that Doctor Who has done a couple of times actually, where a house is kind of folding in on itself. So you're going up the stairs and you end up like seeing, at the same place you were before. The house is folding in on itself. Right after we have about 5-minute scene of people running into the same room and the house folding in on itself, Ryan and Yaz go, "It's like a maze. It's like the house is folding in on itself." And I just like wanted to bang my head against the wall. It's like, yeah, I saw that for like the last 5 minutes, but thanks for telling me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, plank of wood Ryan again. Oh my God, he just can't act.
You could see he's like that AMC show is right around the corner. I can see it off in the distance.
Yeah. I don't know.
I did feel sorry for him though.
Yeah, you guys have probably you kind of mentioned this before, but the mouth breathing from the Doctor as well, like constantly. It's like she's always out of breath. It's like, so we need to get over here, and we have to do this quickly now. It's like, fucking hell, just calm down for a second. Jesus Christ. You're not even that old. Like, you shouldn't be this unfit.
No, does she smoke or something? And it's after Joe Martin. I'm sorry, but like Joe Martin, I saw Joe Martin. I'm like, that shit could work. She wasn't like perfect, and I didn't like her shirt or anything. But after seeing Joe Martin, it's been worse. I actually, never really loved Jodie, believe it or not. I know this comes as a surprise, but ever since seeing Joe on the screen, it's just worse. And then, and now I'm seeing everything: her running, her mouth opening all the time. But the worst part about it is just the bad David Tennant / Matt Smith impression. And it's, I did the video on her interview that everybody listened to with Tennant, where she said she stopped watching the episodes because she was intimidated. You would think she would change her mind on that you absolutely, if you're a doctor, you are obligated to become as familiar as possible with the show. I would do it as a professional. But that's the modern actor right now. They're just, I got the job, so I'm not gonna they're not gonna fire me. I'm female. There's no way I could stay at this job for 10 years if I want to.
Yep. Well, it's missing the whole point of the regeneration cycle, because each doctor and every producer until now has supported this, where each doctor has to have an entirely different personality, separate from every doctor that came before. There are some similarities where Matt Smith at times was channeling Patrick Troughton, but he had still the most unique interpretation of the Doctor. Peter Capaldi, and there's that one scene in Mummy of the Orient Express when he actually speaks with Tom Baker's voice. But again, it was a completely different interpretation of the Doctor. So she misses the point right off the bat, and when she tries to be authoritative, scary Jodie, she's channeling David Tennant, and it just falls flat. The rest of the time, she's trying to be Matt Smith, and I know I've said this in other streams. Matt Smith is probably the most unique Doctor, or the most unique actor that has ever portrayed the Doctor. Nobody can do Dr. 11 other than Matt Smith, and it's because he has that wonderfully strange look to him. He has those strange mannerisms that are distinctly his, and no other Doctor, no other actor could copy that. And just watching Whittaker try and fail every week, and it's the way she over exaggerates the manicness as well, which was something inherent to Matt Smith as well, and he did go over the top a few times. I think the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe was the one episode where he channeled it to 10, and in that case, it didn't really work. But she has no ability to bring her own interpretation of the Doctor, because a lot of the actors as well, they were channeling their own personalities into the role. Like the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker was playing Tom Baker. And if she had to channel her own personality, and well, she doesn't really have a personality, because all she's done prior to Doctor Who, at least in terms of what I've seen, is playing sad, mopey characters in melodramas. So there's no way that this actress ever would have worked as the Doctor. And the whole attack where we hate her because she's a woman, I'm like, no, Jo Martin is the perfect example of that. She actually pulled off the Doctor. She, in those few minutes, you could tell she had a unique personality, and she had that look of authority that every Doctor except for Jodie Whittaker has had.
And she just had that look of annoyance, and she was very judgmental. As a matter of fact, that's going to be my thumbnail. That right after that speech, she's got her Sylvester Stallone lip up of judgment, whatever it is. We're gonna get some Q.
She wasn't just irritating though, was she? She was actually mean in this one.
She was mean. She was mean.
She was very arrogant in this one as well, where she takes possession of the Siberium, whatever it's called, and she's like, yeah, I think it likes me. You can tell that I'm the best host ever because I'm superior, I'm amazing. And I was like, oh, shut up, fuck off. You're not that I'm brilliant.
Could you imagine that? Like I keep thinking of Tennant in that role, how he would, like, having the Siberium taking over Tennant. He's so method, even without being method. He would have screamed, he would have been crying, he would have been acting. Jodie was just like saying, I'm awesome. We're on a time limit today, folks, so I'm gonna get to some Q&A here. We got some super chats. What was that, Starry?
No, you're all right. Yeah, fine.
All right, we got Spitfire Mark 1A for £5. So shocked at the outdated biased broadcasting corp. Should it not be cyber person, soyber person, soy boy man, or soy boy insert preferred pronoun? Yes, I think it should be cyber pronoun. That should be it. That's a cyber pronoun. Yes, they were very, listen, they left, as Critical Drinker said, they're becoming predictably woke, and they actually left a giant woke bomb on the table. They could have, especially with the random body that they just, there's a skeleton where these two hands come alive, and it's not connected to the plot whatsoever, and they just kind of forgot about it. But they could have talked about how that skeleton was I don't know, some native from some country that the UK had colonized, and it's accursed, and it's connected to the Cybermen or whatever. They left a giant, they could have gone after colonialism, the patriarchy. I was a little disappointed. I'm just saying.
Did you get the impression with this episode they had a bunch of like little concepts of like, oh, you know what's creepy? A skeleton hand crawling across the floor. Or do you know what's creepy? Like a ghostly maid that just appears in the windowsill and then disappears when the lightning flashes. How can we incorporate that into this episode storyline? We can't, but who the fuck cares? Let's just put it in anyway and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, by the way,
it's just a bunch of random ideas that sounded good. Fuck it, just shove it in. No one will care.
Yeah. Honestly, it was so forgettable.
God.
I had forgotten about it until I just thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, there's the skeleton hand. What did that fucking do with anything? Nothing.
By the way, guys, it isn't a lone Cyberman. It's actually, let's be political correct, it's self-partnered. Okay.
Oh, he's self-partnered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brilliant.
2020.
2020. Mr. Fish for 50 Australian dollars. Woke is 2 legs, good 4 legs better. Woke is 2 legs, good 4 legs better. Mr. Fish, thank you for the Australian $50. Woke is woke. I always get asked, what is woke? And it's they try to trick you with this question because they go, that's not technically woke, that's political, or it's biased, or it's partisan. It's all the above. It's all the above. When you take Lord Byron and you specifically make him into a coward and an idiot, and it doesn't really fit with the story because it wasn't meant to fit with the story. It's like, oh, well, we have to make a white male look bad in this episode because it's part of our inclusion, whatever initiative. So let's do it to Lord Byron. That's another patriarchal figure that we can undermine and make fun of. Ha ha ha. Because that's the only thing you can make fun of. Because you need to make fun of things in a script. You have to have a villain. You have to have people with flaws. And you can't do it with anybody else now. That's part of the problem. It's their own trap. So Nigel Mayo for £5. I can't wait to find out how environmental issues related to the Cybermen next week. Well, that'll be the ascension of the Cybermen. It was the plastic in the ocean. It was. CCDV for $20. Do you wish you could write Doctor Who? I do. Even amateur writers could do better. Yes. I wish that Bowles Trek and Critical Drinker would write Doctor Who. I would write, well, for one, I mean, well, Bowles Trek, you're Canadian, but you're closer to British than I am.
We have the Queen on our some of our money, and if you go to court, you go in the name of Her Majesty. So we're tangent. I can't talk today. We're roughly related to the UK, and keep in mind, Doctor Who has filmed in Canada.
So
but
do we still own you guys then, technically, or
no, you haven't owned us since the 50s. We just have the Queen on everything, and well, I guess Harry and what's her face are going to be moving here, but no, it's if somebody could say write Doctor Who, I'm like, no, Doctor Who needs to be written by somebody who's British. So 2 of us could write Doctor Who. 2 of us couldn't.
Starry.
I think at this point, I would write like the time core of the TARDIS overloads and explodes, killing everyone involved. The end. I think that's the best thing for this show.
Time to move on. And I'll talk about it in my article. Go right. If some repurposer or creative wants to go out there and write their own story and fill it full of whatever agenda they want and it's original, God, please do. Go ahead. Write it all day long. But when it's a show that used to be enjoyed by everyone, that didn't, openly offend everyone until very recently. And then when you make that giant shift and some of us or a lot of us stop watching and complaining about it, and then you call us racist and phobes, it's like it's the goddamn wheels on the bus going round and round on this shit. We've been talking about it for 2 years. And now we're seeing the results. This is going to be the big year-long I told you so. Bowles Trek's going to say I told you so critical. When people stop watching and guess you're like, wow, nobody's watching our show anymore. What happened?
Oh, wait, yeah, somebody here found a loophole. Yes, Sidney Newman, the essentially the creator of Doctor Who, was Canadian. So I guess, yeah, I can write Doctor Who. Oh, this is going to be fun. Everybody's getting fired and killed.
In that order? Well, I guess you could. They're dead. You can still fire them after they're dead.
Yeah. Well. If you kill the Doctor, then it will regenerate into probably something worse. Yeah, I would have fun with that.
Well, I mean, if you kill the Time Lord quick enough, they can't. I mean, that one Time Lord got fried, and she couldn't regenerate when she got killed by the Doctor. The first female Doctor of color, played by Jo Martin, did kill her. She's the one who jammed the gun. Mm-hmm. I told her not to pull the trigger. That's still killing her. I mean,
that was the dumbest bloody move ever.
Yep.
Like, how did she fall for that? You're a Time Lord. You're meant to be smarter than this. God.
Well,
So
it was
dumb.
it was a lover's quarrel, critical drinker.
It goes right back to what I've always said, right? The character is only ever as smart as the person who writes it, and the people who write this are dumb as fuck. Like, this is the problem.
Yep. No argument here. And that's the case with Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Discovery, and other things. Cracklin for $1.99. By the way, CCDV, thank you for the $20. I appreciate it. Cracklin for $1.99. Terrible writing and bad acting? Nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
It'll be fine.
Protogism, protologism. I always get that wrong. I'm just gonna say jism for short, okay? Just because we're friends. 5 Chilean, what the hell? Chilean dollars? For the love of Jodie, Gary, it's Graham, not Graham, not Graham. And
Graham.
why? I'm American. His name is Graham. Graham. I'm American. We don't say Graham or Graham. No, I'm simple. And why Daenerys Targaryen and Varys and Brienne? Okay, it's Brienne of Tarth. And I always say Brienne because I have a niece named Brienne. Okay, it's just Varys, and Daenerys Targaryen. Am I saying this wrong? By the way, George R. R. Martin's American too. Okay, protogism for £5. Gary, I can't believe Mrs. Nerdrotic isn't spanking you with your spoiler paddle for watching Series 12 of the SJW live action The Magic School Bus. Well, maybe she is, and I just don't kiss and tell protogism, okay? Mega Neutrobite for £2.
It's the weekend. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Just that Valentine's Day, yo. Mega Neutrobite for £2. Dalek. I can say Daleks in the last 2 episodes of the special. Guys and gals, did you see the writing all over the wall? Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. Did you recognize some of that writing? Because some of it did look a little Dalek to me. I could be wrong.
Looked like runes from my perspective, but
if I pulled down this little mask that's right there, there's little bits of writing above the stock that looks a little bit like that. It might be nothing, but it looked somewhat familiar. Maybe they didn't know, or maybe that's future episodes. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to rip off, season 2. Mega, thank you, Mega Nutribite for £2. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. Oof. Protogism for $10 Chilean. Dr. Womb isn't even Tumblr GIF genetic. You're doing these words I cannot pronounce, man. Tumblr GIF genic anymore because it looks bad in every single way. In other words, Doctor Who Tumblr GIFs used to be. Is Tumblr still around? I thought it was gone. Oh no, they got rid of the porn. But
yeah,
it's still there.
So it's effectively dead. It's just it's great for humor. That's about it.
Gotcha.
If you think Twitter's bad, check out Tumblr these days.
I think I'll pass.
Yeah. I'm not that much of a masochist.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to see a weird nasal. She kind of does that. And nobody wants to see that.
That's the Rimmer face. I'm telling you, that's what he used to do in Red Dwarf.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, somebody sent me in my PO box. Somebody sent me season 1, so I'm gonna start from scratch on that one. I've only seen random episodes. I haven't.
Oh, you've never watched it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I'm starting from scratch.
It is from the days of good BBC and one of the best sci-fi. It's a sci-fi comedy, but one of the best sci-fi series ever made. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you finish season 1, you'll be wanting to get the rest.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so it's Tumblr-genic or Tumblrific, I would say, because it looks bad in every single way, like Jodie's face, just when she's making an expression, Proto. So other fans, there are really absolutely no reason for absolutely anyone to watch it anymore, except to review it and mock it. incessantly. That's what I like to do. Mary Ashmead gives us the farting cat, the cat that farts hearts, for $2. It's great. That one cracks me up. Daniel for $5. If Capaldi's run had not been undermined by SJW writing, it would likely still be the Doctor rivaling Tennant. Wokeness begets even more wokeness. You're absolutely correct, Daniel, for $5. I'm not going to argue.
And he would still be playing the Doctor because it was rumored he wanted to do 5 series. So if he hadn't been, hypothetically, but I'm fairly certain this happened, screwed, this would have been the final season of Peter Capaldi. So if you want to, if you aren't depressed enough, I just ruined everyone's day. So you're welcome.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Just while we're here, guys, I'm probably going to have to drop off just now. I've got a few other things I need to do. But thank you for having me off. Thank you for having me on the stream.
Thank you for coming in for a few. We appreciate it. And we're doing 5 more and we're out of here. So thank you, Critical Drinker. Please subscribe to Critical Drinker, everyone. Thank you.
Take care, my friend.
I'm going to go away now.
Go away now. All right, that was awesome. So we got 5 more here. Mark C. If I'm going to be called a misogynist, can I get Jodie wandering around in the TARDIS in a bra and thong, handing her male companion a beer while she does timey-wimey stuff? Yeah, I mean, like at this point, yes. But no, actually, I don't want to see that.
No,
I actually don't. No,
we'll pass on that, or at least warn us, and we'll skip that episode.
Yeah. Protologism for 5. I'm gonna have to see what that is. Watch this live on the stream. It's only 3 minutes long and redeems Jodie. Doctor Who Cares by Podell on YouTube. I will watch it next time. We'll watch it in our finale. I do not have time today. We got to wrap this up. Chris Persia for £5. Whatever happened to Capaldi's reminder to the next Doctor before regenerating? Always be kind. Exactly. There was a moment in this where it almost seemed like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor remembered a previous companion who might have gotten, I don't know, she's all, I'm not going to see anybody else I care about turn into a cyber person again. And I was like, whoa, did they just refer back to Capaldi's era for a second? But that was fleeting. It was fleeting. Curtis,
okay. She had no idea what they were talking about anyway.
No. What's my reference here? Oh, don't worry about it, Jodie. You didn't watch that episode. Curtis Easton for £5. At least series 24 had Dragonfire. The series doesn't have any good episodes. No. Yeah. This season is better than last season, and it still sucks. Scottish Nerd for £2. Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast. Scottish Nerd, you got it. What's a kipper?
I believe it's fish.
Okay.
It's a British thing.
From Red Dwarf. It's a phrase from Red Dwarf. You'll get it later.
All right.
It'll make sense.
It'll make sense in the future.
That would now make sense. Although, what is kipper's a fish, right, Starry?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you have fish for breakfast. A British thing.
You guys have fish for breakfast? That is disgusting. Crimson Taint for $13.99 Canadian. He says, thank you. I say, de nada, which is you're welcome in Spanish. Or bita. Justin Doyle for £5. This episode was like the frail love child of Downton Abbey and Scooby-Doo. The frail love child of Downton Abbey and Scooby-Doo. The Cyberman was Old Man Withers.
Except in Downton Abbey, people can actually act. So, yeah.
I absolutely agree. Okay, we're going to wrap it up there, folks. Sorry, this one went longer than I expected, but please plug yourselves. We'll start with Starry Eyed Girl. Where you have Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Starry Eyed Girl, and I'm also part of the Type 40 podcast as well. We've just had a very cathartic conversation about last week's episode, so I feel like I've got it out my system now.
Did you share that on your Twitter? Can I link that somewhere? The podcast?
It's not up yet, but I will.
Yeah, let me know when it's out.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll share it. Bulls Trek, please plug your wonderful channel.
Well, I have the world's most amusing Twitter account, and I talk about things on YouTube sometimes. And Yeah, that's what I do, and it's fun.
Oh, it's so much fun, especially dealing with the Jodie bots and the wonderful, beautiful, inclusive, empathetic Doctor Who fans. You have been really stunning and brave lately, and I look forward to ignoring more of your insults. Have a nice day. Thank you, everybody who's joined us. Thank you for the super chats. If I did miss any, I will make them up in a future show, and which I didn't. Hopefully I didn't. And everybody, remember that there is older Doctor Who that's good. Go watch it on BritBox, and don't support anything with this new logo on it because they don't like you or don't want you as a fan anymore. So in the meantime, ciao, baby.
Nerdrotic.com.